prophetic ministry and the danger of it. This is why we're talking about the whole thing of true and false, in maintaining the true, bringing the true, but also exposing and dealing with the false. The false is so dangerous, and I just want to mention a couple of things here, and I know that there'll be a number of things that the team here would also love to share about the dangers of false prophetic ministry, why the true has to come forth with great power, with great clarity in order to bring the heart of God. The first thing that I have noticed about false prophetic ministry is the whole issue of manipulation and control. False prophetic ministry has a strong sense of always trying to manipulate people, always trying to control people's lives. It's not a liberating ministry, it's a controlling ministry. Always trying to tell you, you can only do this, you can't do that. And prophets trying to control people's lives. You should marry this person and not that person, and give this money and not that money. And you find that people are almost under a spell. I call it religious witchcraft, because people are almost like under a spell of the prophetic charisma of the individual. Because even when you try to talk to them about, hey, do you notice certain practices are not right here? It's like they can't see it. It's like they can't see it at all, because it's spiritual. It's really not just an intellectual thing. It's really a spiritual thing. That's why it's so dangerous. In the Old Testament, you can even see how an entire nation, or almost the entire nation of Israel, would be led astray by false prophets, because it's really a spiritual thing. It's really a power thing. It's really a thing of exercising or seeking to exercise power over people's lives. That's why it really is witchcraft. It's manipulating people, trying to get them to do things that they shouldn't be doing. And the danger of it as well that I have seen, it's a whole issue around immorality. I think it's Jeremiah who speaks of it. He says false prophets, I think it's prophets of Samaria or something. He says they live a lie, they live in adultery, they are not honest, they are not true. And so the danger of also the false prophetic is not just the aspect of being manipulated and being under control of somebody else's desires, but it's also a whole thing of being under this ministry where immorality is tolerated and is promoted, because false prophets live immoral lifestyles. They live immoral lifestyles while they're busy producing or demonstrating powerful prophetic ministry, if I can put it that way. And that confuses people, I've noticed. I've seen a lot of Christians where they're confused. They say, no, he's a powerful prophet. He prophesied this and this to me, and I've seen him be a blessing to so many people. But he openly and willingly lives an immoral lifestyle. And we all see it and we all know it, and he has no problem with it, and he just practices it openly. And that's the danger of it, because then it messes with the mind of the Christian. It messes with the mind of the believer, that honest believer, that young believer who's trying to follow Christ, living a life pleasing to God. All of a sudden he's confused and he led astray to where you find that a believer that you knew, who was living morally, who was living an upright life and just pursuing Christ, at the end of the day, you find him or her now doing things that are not right and feeling justified and feeling like it's okay because the leader, who is a prophet or a prophetic person, gave them that impression that it's fine, because after all, if God didn't approve of my immoral lifestyle, I wouldn't have prophetic ability or prophetic insight. And that's I think that's the danger of it. But ultimately, the real danger of all of this is that after a person has been through the manipulation, been through the control and even abuse, and seen the immoral lifestyle and everything that it's confusing to them, it produces or leaves a certain significant level of resentment in people's hearts towards God. That's where it's very dangerous, because then people start hating God. They hate Christianity. They hate the church. They hate every Christian leader. Why? Because that prophet who could apparently hear from God, who prophesied accurate things to them, was controlling, was manipulative, was immoral, and it leaves them with a scar. It leaves them with a wound, which sadly I found to heal after many years. It even takes people many years, in my experience at least, for people to actually come out of that fully. But the sad part is where a man or a woman's relationship with the Lord is damaged. That's the sad part, where you have to rebuild, and the trust towards God, the trust towards the church, the trust towards Christian leadership in general has to be rebuilt. And it's sad. It's sad because a lot of the believers who fall into or fall under false prophetic ministry, where just honest believers were seeking God, were pursuing the heart of God and wanted to hear His voice, and then they end up in these dangerous ministries, and they're wounded, and their minds need healing because they no longer see the Lord the same. They are suspicious of Him. They even feel like God failed them. How could God let me be abused or be suppressed or whatever by this leader? I mean, if after all God was with me. And so they feel all this resentment and bitterness and even anger towards the Lord. And unfortunately, others even walk away from the Lord. And that's the sad part. And that's the reason why the true prophetic has to rise, and it has to take a place of prominence in the region. And I believe we really need to help people as well to be aware of the danger of these prophetic ministries, or the false prophetic ministry that is destroying many people's lives. And Dr. Irma, I believe there's something that you'd like to add on to that in your own experience within the prophetic ministry.